Hello and welcome back to another episode of Headstrong. If this is your first time tuning in, you're listening with me, Louis Strong, the host of this show. Headstrong is a podcast where I sit down and talk to a variety of people in the public eye to get them to talk about their lives, their careers, but importantly and most notably, their vulnerabilities. I do this because I want to get the listener, you the listener, to understand what it means to be headstrong. And to me, it means to believe in yourself, to talk about your vulnerabilities and reinforce your self-worth. Now, this third series of Headstrong is all about creatives, and that's why I've coined the series Creatives in Conversation. In this episode, I sat down with actor Wade Williams. Wade is a great friend of mine. I've known him for 6 or 7 years now, from when I first ever visited California. I sat down with Wade to talk to him about his time on Prison Break, which was a massive 5-year stint, giving up a lot of his life to play the role Brad Bellick. I also wanted to talk to Wade about his YouTube channel and how music has fitted into his life. I hope you enjoy this episode. Wade, thank you very, very much for joining me on Headstrong. I don't know if you know anything about Headstrong. You have listened to a few bits and bobs before, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's great. You're really cool. Louis, you're the best, brother. I'm proud of you, man. You're kicking ass.
Well, let's come on to the bromance later on. Wait,
why not
where
start
are you
it
right
now?
now?
Shit, man. We're going to be going for hours.
Yeah, I know.
Soon we're
This
going
is
to
my
be getting the beer out of
concern.
the fridge.
This is my concern. So where are you right now, Wade? A nice backdrop, by the way.
I'm in
Looking
Joshua
lovely.
Tree, California. I got up really early this morning, Louis. See, we say it Louis here, like Louis Armstrong. But you guys, why do you say it in the French way? I thought you hated the French. Anyway, I love the French, but they do say it Louis. Anyway, yes, Louis. I'm in Joshua Tree, California. I got up really early this morning, Louis, because of the comet. What is it called? What's the comet name? Do you remember what it's called? Anyway, I can see it here in the morning and in the evening, so I try to take pictures of it. But I got pictures of the moon instead.
Nice.
I'll try again tomorrow.
So I don't want to talk about politics a great deal in our discussion, although I have no doubt that we could probably talk about politics for the whole episode. But you have coined a new term in this pandemic. Do you mind sharing what that term is?
Well,
it's hilarious.
Yes, I guess I have. It's not a new term, but I'm using it, the word pandemic, as a noun, as a type of action, right? As in to pandemic, right? The lifestyle of living in a pandemic. Like, how are you pandemicking, Louis?
I'm pandemicing okay, actually.
Happy pandemic.
We're out and about here now.
Oh, good. Well, we have to have lifestyle changes, right? Because we, can't have anybody around us, right? Look at me. I'm here all by myself, right? And you also have to have aseptic technique. You have to make sure that you don't bring anything back home with you. Wear a mask.
Yeah.
And I believe there's kind of a moral responsibility for everybody to not give it to anybody else. And the only way you don't give it to anybody else is you don't get it. So you got to stay home, and you got to do stuff like this with your pal in England, Louis on his podcast. Way cool. What an honor, by the way.
First time I've doing it. We're filming this properly. I'm very excited about this.
Well, it's going to be fun. Well, who knows how it's going to turn out, but it's fun. Why not, right? Also, the one thing I've really enjoyed about this pandemic, I know it's all out there. That's the weird thing about being in Joshua Tree or in a place like kind of rural like this is if I don't listen to the television, it's not like there's a pandemic at all. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Totally.
Anyway, but I've been connecting with my old friends like you. Talking to folks more frequently than I ever have. Old friends from all over the country and the world, like you. It's amazing. I think my gratitude list for this pandemic and my art of pandemicking as a verb instead of a noun. I'm getting better at it, and I'm connecting with people. I mean, I'm grateful everything's slowed down, right? You don't just get on the phone and tell somebody, I need this, and then it's over, and Amazon delivers it in 24 minutes. No, it's it's really nice. Chilling out. The pace is slowed. That's the art of the pandemic. See, the pandemic as a verb as opposed to a noun. And we all have to find our way through, I think.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like you're very lucky as well with the space that you have that's readily available to you. But I know that whilst you've been...
and that's why I'm sharing it with everybody, because some people are stuck in their apartment in some mega city, right? Tokyo, freaking Shanghai, New York, London, Paris, Mumbai, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I'm grateful for this. So,
in terms of just in this pandemic, though, whilst you've been pandemicking,
yes.
what has kept you busy? I know that you're a massive music man.
Oh, well, I'll show you. I didn't mean to do this. See this thing here? Can you see it?
Love it. Yes.
All right, this is a Maggini fiddle. Maggini was one of the great fiddle makers, along with Stradivarius and Amati and Guarnerius del Gesù. Anyway, this is a Maggini that I got in a little town called Boonesville. Where was it? Boonesville, Missouri, at a flea market for $187. It was all cracked up. It didn't work. And, I glued it all together. I made the new bridge. I sanded down the ebony fretboard. There was a few cracks in it. I fixed it. It's got a beautiful one-piece maple back. Nice spruce top. Now, this Maggini, I believe, was sold by Sears and Roebuck back in 1906 or something. So it's over 100 years old, but it was sold for like $6, right? So now it's worth about $187, maybe $188 now that I've fixed it. But it plays pretty good. You want me to play a tune for you?
Well, I was just about to say, I mean, you've been writing music throughout lockdown, but do you want to give us a bit of a tune?
You want to hear something I wrote?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, hold on. Wait, I'll get my guitar. So here's something I made up yesterday. 2 days ago, I let my chipmunk go. I found a baby chipmunk and raised him up. His name was Chip. Here's Chip. He's right out there.
Still got him.
I let him go. So here's what I made up. Oh, great God, Joshua Tree, thanks for helping me. Oh, stars that shine above, thanks for giving us love. Oh, great lights shining bright in Joshua Tree. Thank you, bright lights, heavens in the desert sea. There's one.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Remember to rejoice, everybody, and count your blessings. Gratitude, Louis. Gratitude.
Gratitude.
If you make a
has been a word
list,
that
man,
you've been
it is
sharing.
so long. You know what, though? But the bullshit that we're not happy with, it's not very long, but it can drive us freaking crazy, brother.
I know.
Gratitude.
Totally.
Attitude of gratitude.
So are you going to be releasing that as a single on your YouTube channel anytime soon?
No. Well, I kind of did. I did a chip release video. I just made it up right there, and I sang him a song as he was trying to get out of his cage. He was very scared to be set free, old Chip. Yeah, but totally. Who isn't, When the door is open, do you walk through it? Know what I'm talking about?
That's a question for the ages.
Huh?
That's a question for the ages.
Isn't it?
So on your YouTube channel, Wade, you've got a song called Walk with the Moon, and you wrote that for your daughter Isabella. Can you just explain that song in greater detail to me, because I've read your lyrics and I've heard the song and I think it's awesome.
Oh,
but
thanks,
I just was curious. I was curious behind the meaning of the song and what the metaphor of it is. There's
no meaning or metaphor. It's just, when you're a little kid, right? I think I wrote it for Isabella. She likes to be called Riley now because, that's her business, but she's Riley now. She was about 2 or 3 years old. And I was shooting some cheesy TNT or one of those off-network shows up in True Calling. That's what I was shooting up in Vancouver, Washington. No, Vancouver, Canada. Where beautiful up there, rainforest and mountains. Anyway, I was watching the moon. It was beautiful there, and I was always taking Isabella for walks at night, showing her the stars and stuff. You know how you do with your kids.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, she's only like 3 years old. What does she think? The moon, everywhere she goes, it goes with her, right? You know how it is? It follows you around in a strange way, right? So that's why I wrote that song. I love to walk the moon. The moon loves to walk with me.
I really love the song. I think
that's really all it is.
You've got some serious music skills. I love it. I really love it.
Well, I love music. It's a part of my life, man.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, on looking through your YouTube channel, you do write a few other songs and kind of devote them to other people. And I know that you've devoted a song to your pops as well on that. And do you feel like a special connection with your music and to connect it with you and other people? Is it a way for you to communicate your thoughts and emotions?
Yeah, that's a good question, Louis.
Well, that's lucky.
Somehow, my first love in the I don't even think of this freaking acting as a business, because I don't really give a shit about money, brother. I just do it because I love it. But musical theater was my first love, and there's something about how language is music. The way people speak. The way people turn a phrase, right? In England, they call them wits, right? Oscar Wilde and frickin' God, there's a whole list of them. Bernard Shaw, William Shakespeare. It's lyrical. It's lyrics. It's a song of life, right? So and I'm also kind of a weird dyslexic guy. I have strange brain connections, but I think everybody does in a way. Strangely, when you get words lifted up or take it into the realm of music, I think it connects with your brain some different way. Like it's easier for me to remember lyrics to a song than it is to remember a speech, Mad World, Mad Kings, Mad Composition. It's easier for me to Mad World, Mad Kings, Mad Composition. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's easier. Somehow that hooks my soul into it. I don't know. But I love to sing. When I was a little boy, we didn't have a radio in our car, Louis. My dad was so damn cheap, he didn't even get an AM radio. So we would sing songs. I have 2 sisters and a brother, and we'd sing songs on road trips. I mean, we could sing for like an hour and a half straight without singing the same song twice. And so I was always singing. My dad was a good singer. I don't know, we sing to our babies, don't we? You know what I mean?
Totally.
That's love. Anyway, that's the way I think.
So you would say your love and passion for music then probably stemmed from being a kid, absolutely right from the get-go when you were young.
Yeah, and I don't know, I guess. And I started to play instruments when I was about, maybe 8 or 9. The first thing I played was a bugle, just a regular Army regulation bugle. And then I learned how to play the harmonica. I found one in some friend's house that had the back off. I don't know if I'd show you, but they had the silver sides, and the one side was off, so you could see the reeds. So I learned to play it upside down. I didn't know this at the time, because if I turn it the right way, my lip would stop the reeds. So I play the harmonica upside down with the low side on the right and the high side on the left. I just play by ear. I have a very difficult time reading anything, words or music, math. I don't know. I just love it. I think everybody does.
I think the problem with me as well, when I was a child, I probably got pushed into music too young, and I think I got bored of it. And it's one of those things I wish I'd persevered with, and I think it's such a skill. It's like languages. I wish I could be fluent in many languages, and I wish I'd stuck with the piano, the guitar, for my whole life, because I think it's such an amazing skill to have.
Well, start again. I mean, there's a lot of instruments.
Don't worry,
I didn't start till I was older.
I'm looking. I bought a piano a couple of years ago. I got that.
You did?
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love it. I think playing a musical instrument is very, very therapeutic for one's mind, particularly with the kind of the mental health thought process. I think it's massively important.
Well, it's like a meditation to me, man. It's just,
Exactly. Wade, whilst you've got that guitar there, I know that we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I have an idea.
What's that?
I said to you, do you think that you might be able to come up with 10 or 20 seconds and introduce the podcast with some music? Do you think you have it in you?
Well, give me a genre. Music genre.
I don't know. You're the musical expert, Wade.
I don't know. What do you want? It upbeat, up-tempo, slow?
Well, you've listened to the podcast. You kind of know what the topics are about and who the people come on, and they talk about their vulnerabilities and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what you come up with. I think it's probably somewhere in between high tempo and slow tempo.
All right. Let me think of something here.
All right. No pressure, obviously.
Well, we won't do it in a minor key, or it'll be sad. Louie's got a podcast. It's gonna make you cry. Listen to Louie and you'll know the reason why. So yeah, we don't want that. So how about like a nice bright key, like?
Oh, I like that.
No, that's not good. Let's see. How about?
No, I like that way. That was amazing.
Oh, here we go. I can do you two. I can start it off quick and then okay. Let's see. How long? 20 seconds.
20 seconds, and then maybe chuck some lyrics in there.
Right,
let's see what you've got. Nothing too somber.
You want to learn something special? Oh, no, I don't want to go there. Here it is. You want to learn something special? Better listen to Louie Strong. Podcasts on every day. It's going strong. So tune in today and give your soul some ease. It's Louie's podcast. Let you swing in the breeze. I don't know. What do you think?
I love it. That's my absolutely epic. No one's ever serenaded me over Zoom before, particularly about my own podcast. So I'm absolutely flattered.
You're lucky. You're lucky that nobody else has serenaded you on Zoom.
I am one of the lucky few. I have been serenaded by Wade Williams himself. Oh, I love it. So Wade, so we were just talking about your music and how much it's it's a part of your life, isn't it? And that's from where you were born in Oklahoma, right?
Oh, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. Anything you read about me on the internet is probably wrong, just so you know.
Don't worry,
so don't believe any of it.
Atlanta, Georgia. You heard it.
I was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1961.
Yeah.
And I grew up there. Actually, my dad was in the Navy. He was an officer in the Navy on submarines.
Wow.
And he ended up becoming a conscientious objector in the middle of the Pacific Ocean on a submarine. He told them, I can't do it. I can't kill people, because they were dropping off like Navy SEALs on the coast of Vietnam to go, kill people. And my dad was like, I can't do it, man. So the captain said, okay. So they let him off in Japan, and he got an honorable discharge, and then he decided to become a preacher. Anyway, He was an Episcopal priest, and that's where I grew up in Atlanta. He was a church in Atlanta called St. Luke's, and I grew up watching my dad in this huge, beautiful church with one of the best organs around, singing. He had the great voice. He'd lead the whole congregation, had a big, beautiful kind of baritone voice, lyric baritone, I would call it. And he would sing, and I just loved listening to him sing. And I was an altar boy, right? I would go down the aisle with the little cross or the candle. in a big dress like they all do.
Of course.
Anyway, but we lived there, and then he got a job. He got a PhD in philosophy from Emory, and he got a job at Oral Roberts University. I don't know if you know about Oral Roberts. He was a televangelist back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. He had this thing called the prayer tower, right? You paid $20, and he'd pray for you. And all the old men and women did all the time. Made a lot of money. $20 a prayer. Anyway, I'm thinking about actually starting my own religion.
Here we go. This is a great exclusive.
Calling it Wade's, I don't know, Wade's Harmonica Waves, Sistine Chapel, and Hollapalooza Oyster Shack. And I will baptize you for $20. And you get 2 beers, one to baptize yourself with, and the other one to drink. I think that's a pretty good deal. What do you think?
So where do I sign?
Send me $20. Come on down. I just got Miller Lights though, so none of that.
Will you?
None of that. Smithwick's or freaking one of those. No cider. Anyway, just Miller Lite.
Will you pay for my airfare then?
Yeah, come on.
I'm not sure what my girlfriend would have to say if I was suddenly flying out to LA. So Wade, we have talked about your musical influences, and so that probably transitioned into some of your early life in acting, right? So as you said, some of your early roles were in musicals.
All of them. Most of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Got a coffee ground in my mouth. I studied to be an opera singer for 8 years. I did a lot of opera. I did musical theater. I was a lyric baritone like my dad, maybe like more of a dramatic baritone at times. But I did, all kinds of classical music. Mozart, Korngold, Verdi. You just name all the opera composers. Gounod, Bizet, everybody. So, because I was of the opinion, I loved musical theater, like American musical theater, or like Les Miserables. That's French, but it's still Broadway. Guys and Dolls. I love all the old Rodgers and Hammerstein stuff. Sure. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, right? I love that. That's the best, stuff like that. Just that first frickin' 2 measures brings the hair on the back of your neck. So I just, for some reason, music and singing, for me too, was kind of a healing thing. I had a really tough childhood, and I think singing reconnected me to my body, because you have to breathe, you can feel it resonate in you everywhere. It was a healing thing. It still is. It's like a meditation. And my first voice teacher was a lady named Jane Carmichael at the University of Tulsa. And if I hadn't met her, I don't know what had happened to me.
Really?
Yeah.
So she was a real bit of a coach for you, a life coach, not just music.
Person. Showed me there was a good way to go, a nice way. Yeah.
Amazing. So some of those early roles, obviously, there we said they were musical. But am I correct in saying that you've maybe treaded the boards on stage with the likes of Morgan Freeman?
Yes.
Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
What were these experiences like? What shows were they?
Well, I did Taming of the Shrew in Central Park at the Delacorte Theater with Morgan Freeman, Tracy Ullman, Helen Hunt, a bunch of other famous people too. It was great. That's how I learned how to act, was watching those guys. I saw in Denzel, I did Richard III, and with Tim Blake Nelson, we were the first and second murderers. It was great. We got to kill Clarence. Who else was in that? Mary Alice. A lot of great people. I just watched those people, and the actors, the pros, and I just saw that they were just full of ideas. Like we were talking about before, yes and, right? The improv rule.
Yeah, absolutely.
They tried everything. And all the director had to do was go, that one. Oh, yeah, that one. There was never a no. No, there was no speeches about, this character. I believe that, the internal struggle, bullshit, just play. They're called plays. They're not called, like, grind your ass into the ground and beat yourself over a hammer because you got to punish yourself for your art. No, they're called plays. Even Shakespeare says, all the world's a play, and all of us are players. Play. That's why people love to watch kids and dogs. That's why they steal the show, because they really play. And you can't help watching somebody really play. It's so much fun. You're like, I want to get up there and do that too. So play. This whole bullshit idea about how you got to like tie yourself into a frickin' pretzel and then chop yourself up and fry yourself on a grill until you're smoke just to do a part. Play. Just play. Have a good time. Even if that's my philosophy. It's a release. That's where the catharsis comes. When you see somebody playing a role. See, we've forgotten about that, haven't we, Lewis? Anyway,
what's that?
You don't have to believe that, but I do.
I seriously like that mentality and thought process when it comes to stage work, particularly when you say actually learning from the pros and the best. It is so important to actually just watch people and pick up on their best skills and traits. It is the best place to learn is on the job and working with people who you probably consider better than you, like 100%. I will always think that there are people better than me and I can watch and learn and take away from that.
Well, also too, when you're working across one of those great actors, when you're looking in their eyes doing a scene with them, they're there with you 100%. I don't know how many times I've been on the stage with actors, and they're acting, right? They don't even know you're there. They're just doing whatever they're going to do. Doesn't give a shit what you're doing. They don't care about what you're doing. They're just like doing their own freaking thing. They're giving their performance, right? No, they're not playing. That's like trying to play with a kid who doesn't want to, like, their Barbie doll, their G.I. Joe, won't talk to the other, So they're not even there. They're just, I don't know, pontificating. But when you play, like those guys taught me how to do, they were there 100% with me. Their attention was on the other actors, really playing, like a kid does, Hey, look, there's a vulture over there, and it's eating a cow. Let's go steal the tenderloin from it, that cow. We'll fry it up on the grill. What do you think?
Actually, I do remember when I came to LA a few years ago, and I came over to your place, and you cooked me a steak, and it was like 10 in the morning.
See what happens?
Oh, I love it. So Wade, I want to ask you, did you use acting as maybe then a form of escape? Because you talked about how you had like a tough childhood, and I know that you spent a lot of time touring once you got into the industry. Were you happy to spend time away from home and just be working and doing the job that you love and just enjoying working? Was it a good form of escape for you, or was it just putting bread and butter on the table?
Well, both. I mean, when I went on the road, I did a couple of shows in New York, 3 or 4 shows in New York. But I went to college and graduate school. I paid for it myself. So I owed, the equivalent of $100,000 as an actor, right? Anyway, so I went on the road in order to pay my student loans back. Because when you're on the road with musical theater, I did Kiss of the Spider Woman with Cheetah Rivera on the road for 18 months. And then I did a show in Denmark with this cool company there called Hotel Proforma with a lady named Kirsten Delmholm. That was fantastic. I was in Malmo and Copenhagen, and I think we were even in Aarhus. I can't remember. Oh, we went to Rouen in France. Did it there too. So I've had a lot of adventures all over the world. But when you're on the road, you don't have to pay your rent, right? So you can dump. A lot of times you get per diem. So you can pay your room and board, or they put you up, and you just save your paycheck. And what I did was pay my loans back. I was probably on the road, 5 years, 6 years.
Wow.
From like 94 to 98 when I got to L.A. with a show called Ragtime that was by Terrence McNally and a nice composer. He just died of COVID virus, Terrence McNally.
That's sad.
I did 2 shows a hit. Anyway, what a great guy.
I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm sorry.
I've had 4 friends die of it so far. Anyway.
Well, stay strong. Keep playing your music. Stay positive, and whilst it's tragic to lose.
I sing songs every day.
Exactly. I know
like that Joshua Tree song. Anyway, it's like who is it? Who says that? I believe it's Chekhov says, time passes, right? It's everything, we're all temporary, and we just got to celebrate. Like Louis, right here, right now, this very moment. Look at this. Look where you are. Don't get any better than this, man. What else do we fucking want, right? It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm talking to a friend on the phone, looking in my camera, hearing his voice. I got the sun behind me. I'm looking at you. You got a beautiful place. Don't get any better than this. And now it's gone. Anyway, I just, I went on the road to pay back my bills. I ended up landing in L.A. in like 98. And I thought, when I was doing that musical Ragtime at the Schubert, it was before... I was with Brian Stokes Mitchell and LaChance and Johnny Dawsett. And I played the bad guy, of course, Willie Conklin. And I got an out in my contract so I could try doing some, if I got them, TV shows or movies or whatever. And I started getting work in the film and TV business. So I kind of said, well, maybe I'll stay here. So I did, and I ended up, getting a TV and film career. How lucky is that, right?
You've beat me to my next question, and I love it. I love it. See, I feel like you know the direction that this is going. You just use the word, though, adventures, I think it's really interesting to use the word adventures with an actor, because every role is different, and it's great. And this probably led you on to what people have been waiting to talk about, most likely, Prison Break.
Oh, Prison Break.
And here we are. And you broke onto the set of Prison Break as CEO Brad Bellick.
That's right.
And you started all the way through to season 4. But when you first got that gig and you got that script through for Prison Break season 1, what were you anticipating? Like, because really back then when Prison Break season 1 came out, it was probably one of the first massive series to be released, don't you think?
Well, actually... Ooh, somebody's calling me. I don't know who it is. I think it's my cousin. He keeps texting me about like 10 times, so you'll probably hear it. That's my cousin Chris. He texts me like 1,800 different times, all about the same subject. You're going to hear that sound a few times because I can't turn it off. Can't figure it out. Anyway, Prison Break. Well, I didn't know. It was just a freaking audition, right? And matter of fact, I turned it down because it was such a horrible guy. At the time, Isabella was maybe, was in 2005 or 2005 when I went. So she was 3 years old. So I turned it down. I said, I don't want to play this character. My daughter's going to have to see me, if it goes, because it was for the pilot.
Sure.
And you never know if it's going to get picked up. So I went to Chicago and did it, and sure enough, it got picked up. And I got into the show, and we had no idea what it was going to be. First of all, it was a serial, so you had to watch. One episode led to the next. Most TV shows are kind of self-contained. They have the same character, sure, but it's the same story. Whatever it is. If it's a cop show, you got the perp comes in and the victim. By the end, whatever happens. Or a hospital show, you get the doctor and you got the patient. And then the show ends, and then the next one is completely separate, but same characters. This one, it's cliffhanger after cliffhanger. So we were all kind of bummed out because we were like, well, this is never going to frickin' get syndicated because they don't syndicate serial TV shows. So we had no idea.
Oh, how wrong were you?
We just had a good time. And the one thing I loved about it was all the actors on it were prepared, and they did a really nice job, getting their stuff together and came with ideas and just went for it. Had a good time. We had real simpatico. Hold on for a second.
And that is it for part 1 here on Creatives in Conversation, episode 4 with Wade Williams. If you're enjoying the conversation, we carry on talking about Prison Break on part 2. Go check it out on the streaming service that you're listening to right now. Welcome back to Headstrong Season 3. You're listening with me, Louis Strong, and this is episode 4 with Wade Williams. Enjoy. I think season 1 of Prison Break has to be my favourite, purely because you get introduced to all these characters and you really learn a lot about them. Like 100%, you really get to know them. And in that in the first series, there's no denying you are one tough cookie. As Bellick, Bellick is a real.
Because of my daughter.
No, I totally get that, but when you look at Bellick's journey throughout Prison Break, you actually have such a nice character arc. Did you know about that kind of happening when you took on the role? Because you've talked about there saying that it was always going to be a tough guy. But did you know that, come series 4, I don't want to ruin anything, but you do have a seriously nice character arc?
Well, I'm going to tell you a story I've never told anybody before. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So I started that show as that bad, Captain Brad Bellick, CEO, head Captain CEO. And I was like number 5. There's like, now they number people. It was, Wentworth and Dominic, and then I don't know who else. I was the 5th one, which isn't too bad, but still, if you're not the top 2 or 3, you're just kind of I don't know what you call it, an adjunct character. So I didn't work every day, but I went in and I did my thing. I remember on the second episode we shot, this is before it even aired. This is like, I went in and I didn't know anybody. And there was a scene where our Brutesy cuts off Wentworth's toe.
Yeah.
And I went into that scene, thinking about my character, Brad Bellick, or the character, Brad Bellick, because it's not my character. The writers wrote it. And I thought, well, he wouldn't be too upset that the guy got his toe cut off because he didn't do it. And, Brad Bellick didn't cut his toe off. He had no idea our Brutesy was going to do that. Plus, we're dealing with the freaking prisoner, right? Like murderer. They do stuff like that. Those prison guards there, the real guys told me, they threw shit and piss on them through the bars. They would try to stab them with, it's brutal in the freaking prison. And I visited Stateville. Anyway, I did that with a guy named Chuck Goebel, who was the head of the intelligence for the prison at Stateville. That's whoa. Anyway, so I learned all about it. So I was just going to go in and hey man, you shouldn't have cut his toe off. If you keep doing stuff like that, I'm going to stop setting meetings up with you. Well, out of the video village where all the producers and stuff sit, I stay well away from there, let me tell you. The director comes to me and he goes, "Hey man, can you just be a little more upset when you come in? Like, wow, why did you do that?" And I said, "Oh sure, but I'd like to do one for one. Can I give you like a couple not upset, and then I'll give you a couple really upset?" And he goes, "Well, I think you just be upset." So I said, "Well, let me just have I'll do you 2 of those, and then I'm playing. I'm just learning what this character's about." So I go in and I do a couple of those, a couple of the different ones. And I see like this guy in Video Village, like screaming, shaking his hands, like talking to the director. And the director comes up, he goes, "Please just be a little more upset, will you?" I'm like, I don't even know who the guy is. Well, next morning, I come in to the show and I go into the makeup trailer, and the makeup lady's like this: "The producer wants to see you." In the cafeteria. Now, this is the frickin' prison cafeteria. Real prison, Joliet. Orange tables made of metal, bolted to the floor. I go in and I meet the big producer who will remain nameless. And he sits down and he says, Wade, he goes, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to write you out of the show. I said, this is only the second episode. So I call my buddy Miguel Sandoval, because he's an old hat. I said, then after that, I was scared shitless. I thought they were going to write me out. I was just trying to, figure out my character. And he goes, Wade, he goes, don't complain about anything. Don't complain about the catering. Don't complain about the lines they give you. Don't complain about your trailer, your costume, your partners, the weather. He just keep your mouth shut, learn your lines, hit your marks. And that's what I did. I stay away from those guys, the producers, because this guy was on a freaking power trip.
Yeah, clearly.
And so I never changed a line. The whole series, I did verbatim exactly what they did just to keep my job. And I was able to keep my job 4 years, until that same producer called me on the phone while we were in Dallas. And he was trying to tell me, I don't know, the next season he was trying to tell me what they were expecting of me. And I was listening. And I mentioned one thing about, some plot deal where Sarah's character, the doctor, was killed off and beheaded. And I said, that was really cool. I enjoyed that. He just shut up, right? He didn't say anything. He just stood there and listened. I got a phone call 2 weeks later saying you're out of the show. That's how power trip these guys are. And that's why, I don't know if that's exactly why they cut me, but that was in the third season when I had that conversation. And the fourth season came around. They said you only get 10 episodes and you're fired. So I kept my mouth shut for 3 seasons. I shouldn't have opened it up. Maybe I'd have been in all of the fourth. So when you get in a show, remember, in the end, man, happiness is a choice. And gratitude is a way of life. And I'm so grateful for that show. I made good money on it. I made some great friends. I've never even seen it, to be honest with you. I've never watched it. But everybody seems to really love it. And they love this Brad Bellick guy. But the writers wrote that. I just said the lines.
But you're the body that delivered the character. I mean, without you, there is no Brad Bellick.
Well, I don't know about that. You know what? My sister had an idea, right? Prison Break's shown all over the world, right? You should check it out. But every different country, it's a different guy doing Brad Bellick's voice. It's my body, but there's the Russian dude, the Spanish guy. You know what I'm talking about? So she was thinking we should maybe we could all round up all the guys that did Brad Bellick's voice and have a Zoom meeting.
We'll have a massive Zoom party.
Wouldn't that be fun? Because they're doing it too. They're Brad Bellick too. It's just my freaking mug. But that's what, anyway, I did make some great friends. Nick Santoro, what a wonderful man. He's a writer. Karen Usher, Wentworth and I, we love each other. Dominic and I, Rob Nepper, man, we went, that was really going through we were going through the trenches in that. So I did make some great friends. And I did also learn to keep my mouth shut, which was a good lesson.
I mean, from season 1 and season 3, they're both spent in prison. I mean, those are some intimate spaces. And I know that you weren't necessarily in the cells constantly. And I know how a shooting schedule works. It changes up all the time. And I know that you've made some lasting friendships. But is there anything that particularly stands out? Because on set, you have a lot of free time to spend with these people. How did you pass the time from time to time with these guys? Do you have any stories about that?
Well, when you're doing one of those TV shows, any TV show, you spend a lot of time in your trailer. They call you in, and they don't use you. Sometimes for the whole day. You go in at 6:30 in the morning, and they let you go at 10 o'clock at night, and you haven't done crap. I've had that happen many times. So when I was in Chicago and we were shooting that, I played the guitar at the time and the bugle and the trumpet and the harmonica, but I always wanted to learn how to play the banjo, right? Because my buddy, Dr. Robert Haley, he was my neighbor when I was a kid. He's older than me, but I was 8 years old. He saved me, actually. I don't know what I'd done without him. See, isn't it interesting how people just show up along the way? Anyway, yeah. I loved him. He also taught me about opera. He's from Dallas. His dad and his mom both played in the symphony orchestra there. His dad is also a doctor. So are 3 of his brothers and 2 of his sons, actually, and his daughter, too. Anyway, so I got really into opera and bluegrass music and stuff. So when I was in Chicago, there's this place called the Old Town School of Folk Music. And it's where Woody Guthrie and all those guys used to play. So I went there to take banjo lessons. But I could only take lessons on Saturday because I had to work, Monday through Friday. And the only thing they had was fiddle lessons. And I didn't really want to play the fiddle, but I figured, why not? See what happens. Well, I loved it. My fiddle teacher's named Walter. He was great. And I ended up playing music with him, too. So I started playing the fiddle there, and I'd take it into work with me. And after a couple of months of me trying to scratch that fiddle, and I got to tell you, when you first start out on the fiddle, you sound like a screeching cat. I mean, it is loud, it is ugly, and it has a little tune to it, but not much music. Anyway, eventually Wentworth came up to me and he goes, Wade, I just want to tell you something. I said, what's that? He goes, I asked them not to put me next to you in the trailer because we had double bangers, one on each side. Because of your fiddle, man, I can't sleep. I said, dude, I don't blame you. I said, every time I pick my fiddle up, my cat leaves the room. So I ended up only getting guest stars next to me. Because I was playing this loud-ass fiddle, and good old Wentworth. Anyway, I was really bad. But I really enjoyed it. So I took fiddle lessons, and then we went to Dallas, and that's where my buddy Robert Haley, Dr. Haley's from. And I learned from him how to play the banjo. So then I'd bring my banjo in, which is not nearly as nasty sounding as a fiddle when you don't know how to play it. So anyway, that's what I did. Spent my time, those 14 hours a day doing nothing, is I'd practice some musical instrument. I also have, do voiceovers and stuff, so I had stuff to record with. So I just, started messing around. I would play I don't know if I was doing Foggy Mountain Breakdown on the banjo. I'd break it down with a metronome on my guitar, so then I could play along with myself on the fiddle or the banjo or whatever. And that's how I kind of started doing those songs. But I've done songs long before that, like Walk with the Moon. I've been, making stuff up for a long time. I don't feel like writing is the right word. I think it's a bit pretentious. I just make shit up because it's fun.
I mean, it's a constant narrative in your life, actually. It's really nice to see the music is that permanent feature and something that you always utilize.
Everybody.
Even in times of boredom.
Tell me what's your favorite song. I'm sure you got a song that when you hear it, you remember stuff or it brings back the moment.
I have a standalone favorite song of all time. And many people go, surely there's better songs than that. And I go, well, each to their own. Music is personal taste. And I've got my own favorite song, and that's that.
Yeah, why not? Everybody's entitled to their, soulfulness.
Exactly. Shall I tell you what my song is? My favorite song?
Yes, please.
You might not even know it, actually. It's an Oasis song, and it's Champagne Supernova.
Oh, Champagne Supernova in the sky.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. That's a great tune.
It is a gorgeous tune. It is.
That's beautiful.
Anyway, let us return to Prison Break. I'm sorry, we get distracted very easily. I feel like we're always on a riff.
I was just lucky to be in a show that people watched. I have no freaking ego about it. I was luckier than shit. I know people who've been in this business a long time who deserve much greater. I don't know, man. I was just lucky to be in that group of people, that group of actors, and we all stuck together, man. Through the whole thing, we were really good with each other. I was lucky.
with someone like Wentworth, I have no doubt you have had a million conversations with him, and I don't know if I'm going to be opening up a whole can of worms here. But when I reached out to Wentworth to try and get on the podcast, I've yet to hear anything. So if you do have his email, by all means, let him know.
I don't have any of his contact info. But the only person that I kind of keep in touch with is Rob Nepper.
Rob's amazing. What a legend.
I got his number. But I love them all. We're all good friends. I mean, if we saw each other again, it'd be like no time. No
Absolutely.
time has gone past.
But my question, Wade, was going to be, when I contacted Wentworth, you told me to say 2 words to him.
No, you can't tell anybody that. No.
Okay.
That's just between you and me.
All right,
No.
Okay, I won't say a word.
Never say that to anybody else. It's not nasty. It's just it's our code word, so we know it's each other.
Okay, so I'm now in the Prison Break crew. I know.
What's that?
I'm now in the Prison Break crew. I'm in. I know I'm in.
Yeah, don't
I've
say
got the code
secret.
I'm not going to say anything. Anyway, I think this is fab. But moving on from Prison Break, Wade, you've done so many roles in your life. You've literally done a variety of roles: stage, screen, TV, everything. Is there one that stands out to you and you think, boy, I loved playing that role? I love how it turned out.
Sweeney Todd in Sweeney Todd. That's my favorite role I ever did.
Why?
Just freaking great. It's opera. It's acting. It's great music. It's a great story. It's talk about drama. It's just I think it's a masterpiece. And I was just lucky to have the opportunity to do it. What a beautiful piece of work. I also I've done Billy Bigelow in Carousel. That's another beauty. I've done Lieutenant Cable and Emile DeBeck in South Pacific. That's another beauty. I paid Judd like 4 times. That's another beauty. And that's in Oklahoma. What else have I liked to do? Oh, I played a guy named Dan White in a play called Execution of Justice about the slaying of Harvey Milk and George Moscone. That's a beautiful piece. About the trial of Dan White. He got off on the Twinkie defense. I like... and another movie that I'm very proud of. I don't know if anybody's seen it. But this is why I do it, man. To open dialogue about shit that people won't talk about otherwise. Check out this movie called Ken Park, directed by a guy named Larry Clark and Ed Lockman. I'm proudest of that, one of 2. That in terms of like TV movies. I went for it on that one.
So Wade, you've done a whole load of acting roles, but you now do, and you always have done, a lot of voice work.
Oh yeah.
You've got an amazing voice, and you've got such range with it. But it differs to acting work because you're obviously not seen. How do you practice and train your voice, and how have you done it?
Well, I think one of the reasons why I have a nice voice is because of singing. Because when you really learn how to sing, and I think everybody can sing. There's a lot of people say, I can't sing. Well, somebody lied to them. Everybody can sing. Not everybody sings like Maria Callas. But look at was his name John Raitt? Is it John Raitt? No. What's the guy's name? He's like this. He's like.
Oh yeah, I know.
What's the guy's name? I love him.
I can't remember.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You don't have to have a beautiful voice. You just have to have a beautiful voice, and it's your voice. Anyway, so singing connects your whole body, right? So, and that's one thing I have a hard time with. Like when I was first started to learn how to sing, when I was in college, I'd go to church. And I would sing in the choir, I'd sing, glory. I don't know. I say, what's the song I could do? A mighty fortress is our God. Everybody would turn around and look at me. So I had to start singing like them. A mighty fortress. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think the reason why I have a decent voice for voiceovers and stuff is because I learned how to sing like that. It's because it gets all your resonators working. Most people, never practice that. Also, it's embarrassing to have people turn around and look at you when you sing, right? In church. So I think maybe that's it. I don't know, man. I just got lucky. Andrea Romano, she's a director, a great friend of mine. She called me when I was doing Prison Break, wanting me to do an episode of this show called Avatar, The Last Airbender. I was in Dallas. I did it from some studio there. And she goes, "Oh, you're good. I'm going to call you with some more work." And she did. For years and years and years, she would call me in and say, "Wade, you want to, just offers. See how beautiful people are? Not everybody has an axe to grind on you. Some people, want to love you up." So that's what she did to me. And I loved her and her man Rogerio, and I met a lot of cool folks doing that, and I'm just grateful, dude. It's nice to have a gig. That's my mantra. And
totally.
She gave me a lot of nice little gigs, and I had a great time. And that's really all I ever wanted to do as an actor, is make a living working as an actor. Seriously, just to work. And I've been lucky. But I had a lot of poles in the water with different baits on them. Like I had 5 or 6, I had singing, I had voiceovers, which came out of nowhere, acting, just straight acting. I had a little music in me, all these things that we all have. And I just, but I love doing them. And I don't take them seriously. I play. I don't, read Stanislavski and then go hide in my closet and work on my part. You know what I'm saying? And cry. Or go, Uta Hagen, or, whatever those, in the acting, these freaking acting teachers, they end up being gurus, right? You can only do it my way. The Uta Hagen technique, the Meisner technique, the group theater, whatever acting teachers you have in England, they're the gurus. They present themselves. That's why my favorite acting teachers were Nancy Vonovich, Dr. Nancy Vonovich at TU, and she was so great. She loved to play. And William Esper, he was my acting teacher in graduate school, and he was just a regular dude, man. He didn't pull that guru crap. If you find an acting guru, run to Harmonica Wave, Sistine Chapel, and Oyster Shack. $20 for 2 beers. Baptize yourself with one, drink the other with me.
Love it. I love it. Wade, I feel like I've known you. How long have I known you now? 6 or 7 years?
I don't know. When we first met, you were like a kid. How old were you?
I mean, I must have first met you. I was still at school when I first met you. So I would have been 16 or 17. Yeah, I mean, I was 16 or 17 for sure. I mean, do you remember that first time when I came out to LA with you, and within the first day we were on Hollywood Boulevard outside the theater eating like chicken wings in some classic American diner? That's just
didn't we go memories. To like some improv thing?
Do you remember after that improv show, we went over to the Scientology Center, the Celebrity Scientology Center, and they tried to convert us?
They did. We let them try to convert us, didn't we?
I think we were kind of messing with them a little bit.
We got a tour, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, he recognized you, and he was just like, "Oh, there's another one that we want on the wall."
Oh my God! Remember, I almost fell on my ass going down the steps. Yeah. I had those weird shoes on. Oh, that was
crazy.
We've had some adventures, old Louie, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. And we went up to the Hollywood sign. You had to. I got me and you standing next to the Hollywood sign. That was pretty cool.
Did we walk up did I take you on the hike up there?
We went on the hike, and do you remember, like, you were about 20 minutes behind me?
Yeah, that's right. I was fat and ugly at that point. Now I'm skinny and ugly.
Nah. Skinny and handsome.
Settled down.
I mean, you must meet a lot of people in your line of work. How do you find time for yourself when you get off set and actually have that time where it's only you?
Well, I always say this about being an actor. The best thing about being an actor is you have a lot of time off. And the worst thing about being an actor is you have a lot of time off. So you have to, if you're only an actor, then you're pretty bored. So I like doing all kinds of stuff. And I don't limit myself to acting friends. I have lots of friends from all over different walks of life. I have friends, like we all do, from high school, from what you call that, the A levels or O levels. What do you call that there?
Yeah, A levels.
I have I worked in a hospital, putting myself through school as an orderly in surgery, and then as a phlebotomist when I was in graduate school. I have friends from the hospital I still know. I was a sous chef at a 3-star French restaurant, Franz Romer in Tulsa. My buddy Scott. I don't really feel like an actor, to be honest with you. I never really wanted to be one. I just, it was the easiest way for me to get through school. And people seemed to think I was good at it. And actually, people would actually hire me to do it. What a freaking concept, right? To do something you like and get paid for it. How lucky is that, right?
Absolutely. It comes back to that word that we use, gratitude.
God, Joshua Tree. It ain't about me, man. It's just whatever. It's my little bitty light that I got carrying with me through this life here. And strangely enough, I've made a little money being an actor. But there's a whole grand world out there full of cool people. Let me tell you.
Absolutely.
Are you there?
I'm here. I was just
like
absorbing
your
what you
parents,
were saying.
I love your parents, man. I had a great time with them. Your mom's so funny. And your dad too, man. Give them big hugs. Give them big pandemic hugs for me. That's the art of pandemic, right?
I will.
Because I can't give them a hug, but you can.
I can. I'm in the bubble over here. I'm in our little bubble. But that's all good. Wade, it has been so nice to talk to you. And I wish you and Isabella and, all the safe and well wishes as much as I can, sending you all the best.
Joy, blessings, love, and light to you and your family and everybody who's going to watch this.
Absolutely.
We're all in this together. That's the other thing I think is gratitude about this pandemic is we're finding out we're all the same. Doesn't matter how much money we have, what religion we are, what race we are, what culture we come from. There ain't no difference in any of us. Isn't that a beautiful realization, right? I mean, if you look at it that way, we're not separated by anything. And that's, to me, a beautiful thing to realize that, you can't define somebody by what they do, how much they make, where they're from, what color their skin is, what their accent is, what their, you know what I'm saying? We're all one. We're all one. And we can do it together. We can get this. We just all have to get together and do it. And everyone is there. In Europe, you guys are doing really good. In the United States, on the other hand, a lot of people think it's a hoax.
I know. I have heard this.
Welcome to the United States of America.
Wade, I finish every single podcast with the same question.
What's that?
And I don't know if you've had a chance to even think about it yet. We have touched on a few bits that I think you might say, but I'm interested to see what you think. The question is, what does the word headstrong mean to you?
Headstrong. Well, I have a little saying I like to use for myself, the 4 Ps. And with these 4 P's, which I think is kind of like Headstrong in a positive way, and they are practice, patience, persistence, and positivity. That to me is a positive way of being headstrong. Because in order to do practice, patience, and persistence, you got to be positive. Because if you don't have positivity, it's hard to practice. It's hard to be patient, and it's hard to be persistent. But if you add a little sprinkle of positivity on the top of that birthday cake, brother, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Headstrong.
I love it. The 4 P's.
All
the 4
here.
P's are headstrong.
All in your brain, circling around. Choose the positive vortex. The negative vortex gets you nothing. Like if you know, there's I don't know, what do you talk about, empirical evidence? The idea of faith, like the faith that there's a God or that there's a great spirit or a higher being or even a positive vortex. There's no proof of any of that. But there's also no proof that the bubble just pops, or that the nihilistic, Nietzschean philosophy that, there's no reason for us to be here. I mean, sure, you can believe that, but there's no empirical evidence for that either. That's faith too. So why not choose the positive vortex? You ain't got no proof it's one way or the other. Being positive certainly keeps me in a good place. Even in tough times, I just have to remind myself, I have to practice it. I have to be patient with myself. I have to be persistent with my positivity. Anyway, I'm done with my sermon.
I feel like we could genuinely just talk for hours, Wade, but I'm not sure how people would feel about that.
Who cares what they think?
Exactly. We're having a good time.
Yeah, who cares? Come on. We'll all have a freaking conversation. Anyway, but what do I know? I'm just a freaking guy in the middle of Joshua Tree talking to my camera.
Me too. Wade, thank you so much for coming on Headstrong. It really means a lot. And I hope everybody really enjoys this episode. And yeah, hopefully we might do another Q&A.
Send one up the positive vortex for me to stop smoking. I keep trying, and I can't, and I'm having a hard time. So anybody just send it up the positive vortex for the Wade to...
Everyone could say a prayer, but they have to pay me $20.
You don't have to say a prayer. You can do whatever you do, but just, please, Wade, help Wade stop smoking. That would be nice.
You can do it, Wade. You can do it.
I can. It's hard. And that's the one thing I can do with this pandemic. That's the art of pandemicking. That's like the one thing that's killing me if I get it. So that's the one thing I can do something about. The rest of me is just me. Anyway, I love you, Louie. Louie.
I love you too, Wade. Louie.
You are headstrong. You're a positive dude.
Thank you.
You like to play. You're going to be whatever you end up doing. And I believe in chance, brother. I never wanted to be an actor. How did I get here? Look at you, man. You're kicking ass, man. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And that is the end of episode 4 with Wade Williams. An absolute massive thank you to my friend Wade. He's such a legend and an absolute character. He's got so many great stories and is a fantastic musician. You guys go check out his YouTube channel and keep listening to his stuff. It's really, really inspiring and it's great for our souls and minds. I also want to say a massive thank you to my editor, Jack Graham Thomas, and also a thank you to Harry Neal, who keeps producing phenomenal artwork for me. Finally, I want to say thank you to you, the listener. Without you listening, I wouldn't be making this show, so I really, really appreciate you taking the time to click and listen to my stuff. Catch me next week for another episode. Stay headstrong.